I never imagined that the woman I loved and married could betray me in a way so calculated, so shocking. My name is Ryan, I'm 34, and I manage a small tech startup in Seattle. My wife, Emily, and I had been married for 7 years, and while we had our struggles, I never expected deception like this to enter our home. The night started like any other. Emily and I had planned a quiet evening together after a long work week, but something in her demeanor felt off. As we settled into the living room, she suggested a glass of wine. I didn't think twice. It was a Friday night, and we occasionally enjoyed drinks together. But after taking a sip, I felt unusually dizzy, a strange fog clouding my mind. I realized almost immediately that something was wrong. My heart raced, a sinking feeling spreading through me. "Emily, what did you put in this?" I asked, my voice trembling but firm. Her eyes flickered, a strange mix of guilt and calculation. Before I could react further, she spoke casually, almost nonchalantly. "Relax, Ryan, you've been stressed. This will help you sleep. You don't need to think about anything tonight." The truth hit me like a blow. She was trying to incapacitate me, to avoid intimacy entirely, under the guise of care. I felt a wave of betrayal, anger, and disbelief. This wasn't just avoidance. This was manipulation, deception, and a complete disregard for our trust and marriage. I took a deep breath and forced myself to stay calm. Panic and anger would play right into her hands. I set my glass down and focused on observing her next moves. Emily noticed my silence and initially interpreted it as compliance. But then I spoke, calm, steady, and deliberate. "Emily, if your goal was to avoid being with me tonight, there's a better way than trying to drug me." Her expression shifted instantly, a flicker of surprise and fear crossing her face. She hadn't expected me to remain composed, to confront her calmly without lashing out or panicking. That moment was crucial. My calmness disrupted her control, forcing her to face the reality of what she was attempting. Instead of escalating into an argument, I maintained eye contact, steady breathing, and a firm tone. "I deserve honesty, Emily, not deception. You need to tell me why this happened." Her hands trembled slightly, and she looked away, realizing that her plan had failed, and her manipulation had been exposed. Emily's initial reaction was a mixture of guilt and defensiveness. She tried to explain, her words tumbling out quickly. "Ryan, I didn't want to feel pressured. I thought if you relaxed first, it would be easier for both of us." I listened carefully, staying calm, letting her reveal the truth without interruption. Every hesitation, every pause, every shift in her tone told me more than her words ever could. I realized that this wasn't just about a single night. Her avoidance had been building for months, maybe even years. The intimacy between us had dwindled slowly, imperceptibly, until it became a source of tension. Instead of addressing her feelings, she had resorted to deception. My calm, measured response was now the pivot point. She couldn't manipulate me with fear, anger, or panic. My composure forced her to confront the reality of her actions. I set clear boundaries. "Emily, you cannot choose deception over communication. If something is bothering you, we talk about it. We work on it. This," I said, gesturing to the glass and the night's events, "is unacceptable. There are consequences for betrayal, even in small forms." Her eyes welled up with tears, a mix of shame and realization. For the first time that night, I saw genuine remorse. She understood that her actions had not just been a minor mistake. They were a breach of trust, and trust was the foundation of everything we had. Over the next few hours, we talked, truly talked, for the first time in months. I maintained calm, asking direct questions, seeking understanding without yelling or lecturing. She shared her insecurities, her fears of pressure, and her feelings of being disconnected. I listened, acknowledging her emotions while never excusing her deception. The balance of power had shifted completely. She was vulnerable, facing the consequences of her choices, and I remained steady, grounded, and composed. By the end of the night, a strange transformation had occurred. What began as a moment of betrayal became an opportunity for honesty. Emily realized that manipulation couldn't achieve the results she wanted. I realized that staying calm, maintaining dignity, And setting firm boundaries were more powerful than anger or confrontation. For the first time in months, we connected, not just physically, but emotionally. The walls that had built up between us began to crumble, slowly and carefully, as trust started its tentative return. The following days were filled with cautious reconnection. Emily seemed more aware of her actions, and I noticed a subtle change in her behavior. She started communicating more openly, expressing her concerns, frustrations, and desires without resorting to manipulation or avoidance. I maintained the same calm, steady approach, listening, acknowledging her emotions, and setting clear boundaries. Every time she felt the urge to test limits, my composed response reminded her that honesty, not deceit, was the only acceptable path forward. One evening, she turned to me and said, "Ryan, I can't believe I let things get this far. I tried to avoid intimacy instead of being honest. I hurt you and I'm sorry." Her voice was quiet, but there was a sincerity I hadn't heard in months. I nodded, acknowledging her accountability without rushing into forgiveness. "Thank you, Emily. What matters now is that we move forward with honesty and respect." That moment wasn't just about an apology. It was about recognizing the consequences of actions, taking responsibility, and committing to change. Over the next few weeks, our relationship gradually began to heal. Emily's willingness to be vulnerable, paired with my calm, unwavering response, created a new foundation of trust. Intimacy returned, not as an obligation, but as a natural connection rebuilt on communication and understanding. I realized that the incident with the glass of wine could have shattered our marriage, or it could become the turning point. By choosing calm over anger, dignity over desperation, I had allowed the truth to surface and our relationship to recalibrate. Looking back, the lesson is clear. Manipulation and avoidance are temporary tactics, but calmness, composure, and clear boundaries have lasting power. Emily's attempt to drug me was shocking and hurtful, but it revealed deeper issues we needed to address. My measured response didn't just stop her plan. It forced accountability, reflection, and ultimately, growth for both of us. What she did next, her admission, remorse, and willingness to rebuild, was the direct result of staying composed and demanding honesty. Today, our relationship is stronger than it has been in years. Emily and I have rebuilt intimacy, trust, and communication. The experience taught me that betrayal doesn't always end a relationship. It can become a catalyst for honesty, understanding, and deeper connection, if handled with patience and emotional intelligence. And the most powerful tool in moments of shock or betrayal isn't anger or revenge. It's calmness, clarity, and unwavering respect for oneself. What could have been the start of a breakup became the foundation for a stronger, more honest marriage.